Jesper, thank you very, very much for joining me. For people that aren't familiar with you and this is their first time hearing from you, how would you describe yourself and just give us a brief synopsis of your journey so far?
Yeah, it's actually great to be in an international environment and not of my own country of Denmark, because then I wouldn't have to introduce myself. But for you, you can say international people, you don't know me that well because I was mainly based out of Denmark, and my business ventures normally was in Denmark, even though that the business ventures that I did, the whole world knows it. It's quite simple because I was one of the co-founders of the biggest jewelry brand in the world coming out of Denmark, the Pandora brand, that has an awareness degree of up to 85% amongst people in the world. So I don't think I have to explain that deep in what Pandora is actually about, more by my person myself. You know, I was one of the three co-founders of the brand. We have a founder who sits in Thailand, and we are two other guys, one in the US and one in Europe. And I was the guy in Europe who built up the business from scratch back from 2001 until we sold it in a big IPO in 2010. And then I continued in the company till around 2015. And since then, I've been out of Pandora, but of course, it's my baby. So I follow it very, very close. And I'm extremely proud of the brand. You know, last year it entered the top 100 global brands in the world. And that was for me, of course, a milestone that I could not have dreamed of when I started selling Pandora jewelry to the German guys in 2001, 2002. So the journey has been completely insane, for being nothing nobody knew about it to be one of the most recognizable brand in the world.
Well, that was definitely what piqued my interest when I first came across some of your clips on Instagram. Obviously, Pandora is one of those brands that everybody knows and pretty much everybody has a relationship with. You know, either you've bought charms for your mom or your girlfriend, both in my case. But I want to go back to the point when you first became involved in the brand around 01. What kind of state was it in at that point?
Yeah, you cannot say there was any state actually, because I met the Pandora founder, Per Enevoldsen, in 2001, and he's a jewelry guy sitting in Bangkok, Thailand, producing jewelry. And I saw the product in 2001, and I was a dynamic young entrepreneur who had many dreams in my life. I had a good time in retail corporate world, but I wanted to go out and chase the big fish in the world, like any young entrepreneur who wants to conquer the world has. And I actually just in the beginning got the license to sell the Pandora jewelry in Germany. And later on, that journey took off for me. You know, we were a company when I entered that sold about €500,000, meaning it was a little company. And later on, I took the whole journey with Pandora. I merged my own company with them, became one of the founding fathers. And at the end, when I left the company, I think the revenue was close to 2 billion. So you can imagine what a journey that was. And nowadays they do more than 5 billion and is doing an incredible profitable business all around the world. But I had the privilege to do that journey from day one. You know, I was the one who was assigned to find the customers, to build the brand, to open the stores, all these things. I took that journey for 10, 12 years, creating that brand that you see today. And I can tell you the brand that you see today, the stores that you see today, is exactly the same that we created back in the 2002 to 2010.
You didn't have a background in jewelry before, correct?
No, not at all. I still am not very, I like numbers, you know, and I like branding. I like relationship to people. So I'm into the people's business. I just saw something unique about this brand where I really love to put all my values into it, you know, taking care of people, taking care of your customers, creating this brand, you know, getting everybody to know about it, all the basic things that lays in building a brand. That it happened for me to be jewelry was a coincidence. It could have been anything else. But of course, nowadays, I know a little bit about jewelry, and that's my business, you know.
Mm-hmm. How did you spend most of your 20s? What industries were you working in? Were you opening companies? Were you working for somebody else?
I actually came out I came out of retail, you know. So I learned it the hard way, you know. Core of every business is the retail. You have to understand how the customers are functioning, how it is to sell, how it is to create a relationship with your employees. So I started as a franchisee, very young, 22 years old, in gas stations. So when I was 25, I had 3 gas stations. I was running 50 employees, have a great business with 25 years old. That is a remarkable challenge. And I enjoyed that. Later on, I got into one of the biggest Danish supermarket chains, you know it probably from Spain, it would be Lidl or Aldi. Mm-hmm. And I worked for that. I had 100 stores that I was facilitating on the part of Denmark until I was around 30. but I missed the money, you know. I didn't like to have a salary. I want to have an unlimited salary. And I have to admit, it was the money that drove me back into being an entrepreneur again and having my own business, the freedom that the money would give to me. And I just needed to find, you know, the right task where I can put all my energy, all my skills, all my will to win into. And it happened to be Pandora that I found in 2001 by coincidence.
For a lot of young men today, being an entrepreneur has never been more visible. It's a very glamorized profession, I think. How does a young man today know whether he is actually built for entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's almost like it's being a rock star nowadays, isn't it? Being an entrepreneur. I feel it in my own country. You know, people come to you and they want to have take pictures with you, you know, and all these things. And that is of course another way. When I built up businesses, it was not like that. We were more like businessmen. The entrepreneurship as a thing was not something we really talked so much about. But for young people nowadays, which of course nowadays I spend a lot of time advising young guys, mostly from my own country, about how to be an entrepreneur, how to build a business, because I am, of course, you know, a hardcore global entrepreneur. And without actually knowing what I did at that time, I, of course, now can see what kind of skills you need to do, you know, and I see they're so skilled, so many of them. And many people, they're very, you know, also in my country, you know, we are very pessimistic about things. You know, we come from Scandinavia, the old socialist system and all this. But I must say that the young guys nowadays, they are so talented. They know so much about it because they can see it on the social medias. They can see the podcast. They can learn from us who really did it and built these global brands. And in my days, I couldn't do that. So I see that the skills that they have, they possess extremely a lot of them already because they followed these guys who really did it. What they need to do is, and where they all fall down is, how many bullets are you willing to take, you know, because I'm 55 years old now. I built one of the biggest brands in the world and I have a lot of bullet holes, you know. I was shut down hard, you know, by the tax authorities, by the medias. You get so criticized. And it is, as I always say, to be an entrepreneur is an endless humiliation. You have to get up every day and be humiliated by the banks, by the suppliers, by your customers, but you just have to eat the shit on the bigger purpose. So a lot about it is about how much are you willing to take the shits that coming, bear down your ego, look at the target at the end, because at the end of the day, when you get to the top, nobody thinks about all the humiliations you need to take on your journey. So enjoy the humiliation, see them as a reward. You know, I had 500 front pages in my country with my name and face on it. So I know what it's like, and 70% of them was not nice, you know. They really take me down like crazy because I'm not very Danish in my character and they can't get their hands around me. So of course they have to explain it by taking me down with everything, you know. The tax authorities tried to kill me many times, you know, and all these different things. So it's just about, you know, the young generation nowadays, they have the skills, no doubt. They have the knowledge. They have an extreme hunger, which I enjoy to experience every day. The question is just how much are you willing to take on your journey, you know? How much pain can you take? It's like running a marathon, you know, nobody's built for running 42 kilometers, but it's going to be painful the last 15 ones, you know, and that's where you just have to eat it.
I feel like it's also, especially talking about growing an audience, growing a brand online, it's like running a marathon, but in reverse. Actually, in a marathon, you know, you crawl over the finish line and you're sweaty. That's what it's like trying to get it off the ground. You know, nobody's paying attention. Everything's working against you. And then you gain some momentum and you start jogging and then you start running and things happen.
And then you have to keep the hunger.
Yes.
Never settle down.
Yes. That's a difficult one. When you first achieve your initial aim, I had mine quite clearly defined, you know, and I achieved it quicker than I thought. And that kind of set me back for a few months. I didn't really know where to go next. I had to find my next goal. I had to find the next conquest.
I never reach a budget in my life.
Really?
Because I always put myself under so much pressure. But still reaching 80% is a big victory. But I never reach my body. My teams never reach the targets that I set because I just changed them during the period and put them higher. And that's, you can say, is what characterizes many guys who build these enormous brands. is that the hunger is unlimited. We don't do that for the money any longer because it doesn't matter any longer. It's just because we can. And in Pandora, of course, I was the crazy guy. We know that my two co-founders, they were more, they were relaxed. They left the company relatively early, going to the golf course. And they were as well 15 years older than me. That was not where I was at all. I was just there. I loved my company. I loved my business. I loved the job that I had. I actually didn't care so much about whether we would make the extra 5,000 a day or something like this, because for me, it was about building the brand, getting the things done. And I set very early on my Pandora journey 2 main targets that actually followed me to the day that I stopped in the company. And that was that every woman in the world should know about Pandora. Very simple target. And secondly, they should have the ability to buy it. So that means, of course, the distribution side from the other side. And the world is big, and you never finish that journey. I would say now, looking into 24, 25, I can feel when I travel around the world that we got there, that every single woman I meet on this planet, they know Pandora and they can buy it. Now, of course, helped a lot through the online businesses around the world. But now I think we are represented in 115 countries. But still, that was my vision already in 2002, 2003. And I remember in a General Assembly meeting in 2007 for all the Pandora distributors around the world, I said, I can feel it's coming already. This is going to happen. And the question is, if we want to continue grow this business for the next 30 years, we need to fight life on another planet because we're going to succeed this first mission, And I can see now I get help to that with Elon. So everything is fine on that matter as well, So I just could feel that it was coming long before we actually reached that goal. But I set the vision very high in the beginning. And I do that. I get this clear side. The same, I also did some sports teams. And I don't do sports teams to be number 2. And I don't do sports teams just to be number 1. I do sports teams to do the best ever. And that is where you have to, because then you will never get, like you maybe did, you never get reached by your goals, because I never reach a goal, a budget or target in my life, because I always set the barrier so high that I will never reach it. But if you do, then you reach the stars, like Pandora. It's reaching the stars, of course.
Let's talk about the kind of creative side of Pandora and the people side and how that brand became what it was. Talk us back to the beginning. The jewelry industry is one of the oldest industries in the world. People have been wearing jewelry since the beginning of time. I think what Pandora did that was special is it changed people's relationship with their jewelry, both as the wearer and as a gift. When did those ideas start to crystallize? What were some of the first creative breakthroughs?
Such a brilliant concept, I can tell you. It's so brilliant. It's timeless, You can never disrupt Pandora because it's not like some technological revolution can take over these products that we are producing. So it is by far, you can say, the most talented concept and brand that I ever saw and ever promoted. And the idea and the brilliancy behind this is, of course, the repeat sales. Now we're talking business, because you buy this bracelet, which is a very simple snake chain, 11 grand, cost you $60 or something like this. But that's not the business model of it. The business model is creating all these unforgettable moments and put into it. And when I realized what happened to the female, nature, mood, spirit, when she gets this bracelet on and start collecting these charms, I thought, oh my God, there is no limits to where we can bring this storytelling. Because, it's limitless how much we can invent around the Pandora bracelet. And we just kept that core business running. And it's still exactly the same thing that happens. And many then say, won't people get tired of Pandora? It seems like they will never. Because now we've been in the business for 20 years, meaning, and every woman knows it. And still our revenue grows 5 to 10% every single year. So it's not that they're getting tired of, but of course here we get helped a little bit by the numbers guys, lovely schedule, the matrix, that every single day another 157,000 women appears on this planet. And that means that we will continue to grow forever and forever and forever with our Pandora business. I think that it is not unrealistic in the next 6, 7, 8 years that we will reach the milestone of 10 billion in revenue. And that is the brilliance of the concept. And when we found that product, because Pandora is unlike many other brands, it's very much based around one product. It's what we call a one product phenomenon. So 82% of our revenue is coming out of one product. And that is, of course, a little bit dangerous, but not when you have that kind of product. Then you just have to put water into it every single day and just keep running with the milk. So the business model is by far, you can say the repeat sales. And then we did something that nobody ever did before, because in jewelry, we normally know all the big brands. It could be Tiffany, Cartier, Bulgari. We all know them. All women, they have the same awareness degree as Pandora has. But of course, for a lot of people on this planet, they can't buy that because it's way too expensive, these prices. It's for the last 2-3% of the population in the world. But what we, as the only one ever did, and still did, nobody ever did what Pandora did, was that we put ourselves in the middle segment as a brand, as an affordable jewelry, because you can get a Pandora piece for 19 euro, for God's sake. And that means that we got to be the brand of the people. That means that you still get the same experience, the same happiness as when you go and buy a Tiffany, Bulgari, or whatever of the big brands. We created that segment in the middle of it, combined with a brilliant product, charm bracelets, and then all the money that we decided to invest in the branding of the company. So that was really the brilliant, and we have not been copied ever since. Many tried to get into the same segment, but the barrier is very high, and we own this segment by ourselves now, you know. So there's no limits to where you can say you can run with a brand like Pandora, but again, the product is sensational.
I think you might have seen this, that a lot of the advice for entrepreneurs today is about going into the luxury end of the market, sell to the most expensive clients, don't bother with the middle ground. Do you think that people underestimate the value of having mass appeal as a business today?
If you look at the really big companies in the world, you know, the really solid long ones, you know, in the US, the Walmart, who do they sell to? If you look in the fast fashion industry, Zara, H&M, who do they sell to? And they are extremely valuable, you know. And creating these, you know, luxury brands, that takes generations to build up, because it's not something that's like you have something that's really running for fast and then it's a hype. To build luxury brands takes a lot of time. So, and for me, you know, I come out of the suburbs of Copenhagen. You know, I'm a working class guy. In Denmark, they call me the working class hero entrepreneur. And my father was an electrician. My mom worked in the kindergarten. So I don't even know how the rich people are thinking, you know, but I know how normal people are thinking. So my clear goal was pretty clear. I want to make this sell to people that I really do understand and that I can identify myself with. I can't identify myself with the woman from the north of Copenhagen living in the beach village with a Cartier love bracelet. I don't even know how she's thinking. I don't even know how she lives her life, you know. But I know how 90% of the Danish people are the middle class in the all Western part of the world, how they live their life. So to those I can relate. And that's why, of course, we ended up, you know, selling to that kind of people. I tried also later on projects for the luxury people. I don't understand them. It's not in my world.
As well, what Pandora was able to offer people was a more luxurious feeling. Maybe that comes from the sentimentality of the item at a price that they could actually access. Because, most people are never going to buy the love bracelet.
You hit it right on the spot. The love bracelets start by 8,000 euro. Mine start by 60, you know. But we give them the exact same feeling. So you go into a store in the best mall, you know, whether you're in Spain or you're in the UK or you're in the US or you're here as I am in UAE, you know, we go into the biggest mall. We have the best position. We get the full feeling of buying a super brand, you know, good service from the staff, nice wrapping, gift packages, you know, everything is fine. And at the end, you pay $231, you know, what the hell is that, you know? But the joy from the women and the experience that she gets is that she buys a big brand, you know, and we give them the feeling, and that's where we succeeded. We gave them the feeling that not just the bracelet, but we also gave them the brand feeling. So, hey, you really buy something that's really, really unique here. And, you know, we had our advertising is also half the success of Pandora because we were advertising like crazy in the beginning to get known, you know. So you saw us probably, if you were around UK, US, you would have seen us in the US around 9, 10 maybe, in UK maybe 11, 12, 13, but we were very aggressive on our marketing, you know. We popped up on every high street, in every mall, and we got our marketing done, TV commercials at that time, and later on we took on the social media platforms. We invested a lot of money in marketing all the way through our journey.
A quick thank you to today's sponsor, Ota. Ota is one of those brands that I've been a paying customer of long before they were interested in sponsoring the show, which is why I'm so happy to bring them to you today. If you're into menswear at all, shirts, ties, cufflinks, the things that really elevate an outfit, Ota has an incredible selection of both classic designs and more modern, expressive pieces. The company was founded by two brothers down under, and I can tell you, these guys truly care about their customers and creating the best products around. They also do fast worldwide shipping. Ota is offering a discount for listeners of the Gentleman's Collective podcast. Use the code JamesLawley10 at ota.com for a 10% discount. If you are upgrading your wardrobe this year, start with one of their shirts, neckties, or cufflinks. They make a bigger difference than most people realize. So that's JamesLawley10 at ota.com for 10% off. Let's talk about the kind of idea of the repeat purchase and the storytelling element. Where do you think that idea came from? Did you observe it from anywhere else? This idea that you buy the one thing and then it keeps adding on and on?
It's the collector bracelet already came from the Vikings, we found out, yeah. So it's okay. Like you said, it's from the day of time that we started this jewelry, yeah. But then we were a little bit inspired by an Italian jewelry concept called humiliation that put small pieces as well together. And then actually what not many people know, I can say that publicly now, is that it was actually not us who invented the Pandora concept. There was another Danish company called Trollbeats who was the original ones, but they didn't have a Jesper, So that was the difference. They didn't have a crazy guy and a distribution and sales and marketing guy. But their product was exactly as good as ours was. And they were trying to follow us all around the world behind me, they were trying to come and do some business in the waves behind Pandora. So basically you can say the repeat sales is brilliant because a Pandora bracelet would, when it ends up, cost around $1,300. So it's not cheap when you have finished your collection, but of course you do it normally over 36 months. And a Pandora bracelet contains 22 pieces. And normally we will sell, every time we sell one bracelet, we will sell 17 pieces within the next 36 months where this was purchased. It's all math, So our business was pretty clear from the beginning. It's about selling the bracelets. So we accepted a discount on the bracelet to start with. That was not stupid because then our big profit lays in the charms because we do not use much material for the charms, but still they're $25. And that means that we ran with Pandora in extreme high profit margins. I can say, because this is a closed podcast, so I can say that the profit of Pandora is 88% brutto margin. And of course that is insane, because that gives us a lot of space if we sell enough to do a lot of advertising, to do a lot of branding, because we have so much profit when we sell our jewelry. Not many people knows that, but silver is not very expensive. And you can imagine with the size that we got in Pandora, we got extremely well in producing. We are the biggest manufacturer in the world, 150 million pieces every year. And we have the 35,000 people working in our own factories. So of course it is a huge, you can say, construction business as well, or production business. And that is done because this repeat sales, one bracelet, 17, 18 pieces every single time. And that is of course from a brilliant, if you should write down the perfect business model, you could write that one down because that is insane. 17% takes the second bracelet as well. And that is of course also very important. So every fifth person also takes the second bracelet, and then we go back again 17, 18 pieces, bang, bang, bang. And normally they come back 5-6 years after they bought their first Pandora bracelet, they come back again and start again.
What was the process like of communicating the concept to the customer? Initially, nobody else was doing this in the mainstream. Now all of a sudden there's this new bracelet and you're going to buy these charms and it's sentimental. How did you get the customer on board with that at such a huge scale?
That's not easy. Everybody knows it. But we started out in Germany, and, Germany is it's one of the important markets in the world, but it's not so big, so we could still, do it slowly. So in the years 1, 2, 3, 4, we started, growing in Germany slowly. And then, many would decide to take out, your advisor will say, oh yes, but now your family does a little bit of money. Maybe we put something on the pension. Maybe we put something. I said, no, everything goes back into the marketing, into the marketing, into the marketing. So of course I'm very riskful, you know. So I took a lot of risk and say, instead of saving money, I put it all into the marketing. Because I truly believe that if I could reach every single German woman at that time, that was my focus, then I could sit with my calculator and say, whoa. And then we're going to do 100 million euro in Germany. If we can keep pushing the awareness degrees on top of it, because I found out that the awareness degrees and the revenue were following each other very closely. So for me, it was about to get it out to the German women in the beginning. How do you do that? Back in the old days, you did it by creating distribution through the different jewelry stores in the different cities. Get a front window, get the employees in the store to do it, and start doing some commercials. And that time, the commercials was not in the social medias. The commercial was in the magazines, the fashion magazines, Elle, the Vogue, all these different kind of, and it's just to go in, take a full page. But of course, the first time you do it costs 25,000 euros. You say, what the hell is that, you know? But you close your eyes and you do it and say, whoa, because you move your brand up. And later on, we did every possible channel to get awareness, you know. And in 2008, I couldn't push it further. I was standing in a lock in Germany. I was around 40% awareness degree. And then I got the crazy idea to TV commercials. So I booked the biggest TV commercial campaign ever seen in the German Christmas business. And then we grew, our business went completely ballistic in 2008 in Germany because we bombed in all these TV commercials. And we went from 40% awareness degree to more than 65 over 6 weeks. And my stores were completely shut down, you know, and I said, there's no limit. People just has to know about it. So it's actually not difficult if you get to that point. It's just to create awareness, and you do everything you can in every channel you can, but you can only do it because you have a product with 88% profit margin. Because how many has that, you know? Not many. Mm-hmm. So that was the idea of it, of course, also that we had so much profit.
What was your approach?
What was
your approach to the creative side of the advertising?
Simple, clear message. My marketing guys, they hate me because I say, repeat yourself. Always a bracelet with a charm, a good price. And, you know, I have very skilled marketing guys and they came with big campaigns, you know, to the right, to the left. No. I said, we use the same as last year, make another color, but use the same. But no, they say, yeah, but awareness degrees is not 90% yet. We don't have to play around now. We have to win new customers into our business. And if we make a nice now Pandora can do it today because everybody knows the brand. But at these days, nobody knew about it. So it was all keep the communication very simple. There's one bracelet, one charm, $59. And we did it thousands of times in all the magazines, in all the TV commercials. Because what did we need to sell? One bracelet was meaning 17 charms. So it was very simple just to keep repeating yourself. And marketing is very boring. Because it's about repeating the same again and again. And many times there is a tendency that people tries to change the marketing platform in their company. But it's only because you get bored of looking at it, because the end consumers, they have maybe never seen it. So you don't have to create a new marketing campaign all the time. You have to find out what's working. And then you have to keep doing that again and again and again and again and again. I always say, never fix something that's working. And of course, my highly paid marketing director, but what you need me for then? To book the ads, I said. Yeah, but you don't need I don't need any creativity. I need you to do the same as you did last year because this is still working.
Do you think maybe coming from the background of the gas stations and the grocery stores, that kind of more boring side of industry actually helped you succeed in a domain where a lot of people come from a fashion background and they're very artistic? And
there's difference between practical and theory. And I'm practical. So I also created a whole new business model running $1 billion company from the front. You know, I didn't even have an office because I was always out in the front talking to my customers, talking to my reps, presenting the company. So I didn't need an office, you know, because back in the office, I could, of course, a normal CEO, he would sit and look at the matrices on the Excel sheets and make decisions and go home at 4 o'clock. I didn't do that. I was driving 100 days a year with my reps all around the world because out in front, I listened to the sales rep. He talks to the customers every single day. He will tell me if somebody needs to be fixed and he could tell me and sometimes I could change the whole way we did within 24 hours because I got some feedback from our customers that was very relevant to our business right now. And that, of course, keep the whole, corporation very energetic to run it all from the front. And then I hired some of the guys, from the business schools. There's thousands of them who can do this, sitting in the computers, doing the major Excel sheets, and they just feed me with information that I needed to know because I'm a numbers guy. But I ran out in front and talked to my customers because the customers could tell me what was going on. And at the end of the day, it's only the end consumer who can decide whether you're going to be successful or not. Not a nice business plan made or a nice presentation means nothing. And I could skip the biggest presentation in 1 second and say, we change everything. We change that now. And now we go in that direction instead. So of course, working for a guy like me can be very chaotic because it goes from A to Z in 5 seconds and then back again. But because it's run by the energy from the front and not from the back. And that is where our business got to be very unusual. But, competitors, we have 100 of them, but none of them had a Jesper, I always say. They didn't have a crazy guy. And I just stood there every single night doing a presentation at a show somewhere in the world, and everybody in the industry knew me because I was there, I was present, and they could call me, they could text me. I was there all the time. I was not, for everybody, I was approachable because I was listening to what they were telling me. I said, keep talking. I said, keep talking. Yeah, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say this to you. Please tell me. Yeah, but you have, this. Thank you. Very interesting information. I put it all into my data and created at the end this wonderful, incredible Pandora concept that now runs. But it was all taken out of feedback from all my jewelry stores, all my reps, all the people out there working, the store managers later on when we began to have our own stores, just these store manager meetings. And when you create a room, and I'm very good at that with the people because it's not in the meeting I get the true facts. It's when we meet later on for a drink or for dinner. And I sit and I create a nice, relaxed atmosphere. And when I have that atmosphere, I let them start to talk. And there they're going to tell me the truth of we are too expensive, the gift packages are wrong, but they will never say to me in a meeting because, we can't say that to Jesper, he's going to be, he's a big Mr. Pandora, what's going to happen? But then I create these spaces, and then I was just sitting listening. And then when I came home, I wrote back to my organization, we have to change this. Because I just got the information straight from the end consumer. So I truly believe that to create big businesses, you have to be in the front, all the way in the front, and listen to your customers.
For an entrepreneur today that is selling everything online and maybe they never get to meet their customers face to face, what are the best ways they can understand what they're doing wrong, how they need to improve their product? And also, how do you separate listening to genuine customers or people that should be customers versus just noise and trolls on the internet?
Nothing has changed. It's just another way of listening. So you can still listen to your customers every single day on your online medias. You can read the customer service. You can listen to them. You can see how they react. Keep trying new things until it works. It is exactly the same model. Nothing has changed because it's online. It is the same tools and the same methods as it was always. Listen to your customers. Are you too expensive? Try to do a promotion and do all these things till you find how it really works. And when you find that method, you run for it and you go for it. And you can just sit sometimes as an entrepreneur, look at all your competitors, look at everybody, scroll, see what's working for them. I love to find business model that other has done that's already working and make it 10 times better. Because I have some other tools I can put into it that makes it go crazy, So it's the same way as it was before. And nowadays, everything happens online. Luckily, it makes everything easy and we can go global very, very fast. And could you do a Pandora again today? You could, of course, you could. Why don't, and one day if I one day fall over the right product, I would love to make the first Pandora online brand, because you could do it. If you really listen to your customers and you use the same method, it would work. I haven't seen the product so far, but maybe one day, and it will be invented, I know that. Then I would love to put it into an online machine and make it run like crazy. You can maybe even do it 10 times faster than we did in the old days.
There seems to be a lot of jewelry brands having emerged over the last few years. Maybe it's gone from being one of the hardest industries to get involved into one of the easiest with just sourcing materials. And I especially see a lot of social media personalities doing a jewelry brand. It's like one of those go-to.
Every young influencer has it nowadays, a jewelry store.
What do you see people doing well, and what do you see people not doing so well in jewelry?
I would say that I see them everywhere. They do a great job, They use their personal brand, their personal reach to sell something as, unique and something as profitable as jewelry. And it's not difficult to source jewelry. You can go to Asia and source jewelry very easy and start to sell it through your own store. And I recommend everybody who asks me, this is a good business to enter. If you have a good reach, if you have a good social media presence, why shouldn't you make an online store for jewelry? There would be no reason for not doing it. I recommend everybody to do it. And I've seen them, as you refer to, these, normally it's younger girls who has some kind of social media presence, and they can create incredible results. I get surprised very often to see when I look into their accountings and their numbers and say, wow, that's really, really impressive. But of course, the problem is they are not unique, because there's 100,000 other girls doing exactly the same. It's just a question of your reach, your presence in the social media landscape that will decide it. Because another little secret about jewelry is, of course, that it's almost always the same. There is not much difference in the different jewelry that is made 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Pandora is maybe the only really new piece of jewelry that came since 1960, 1970. So therefore, of course, it's very much about the same products all the time. It's a nice stone, it's a nice mother of pearl, it's a nice ring, it's a solitaire ring, it's a trinity ring. But it's all classics, coming out of the same products. And new jewelry is very difficult, to make. So I think that you should always be aware of that. You have to find something else to put into it, your personality, your storytelling, or whatever it could be, into that jewelry brand. Then you have a chance. But building a global brand out of that platform is not possible, I think. So I think maybe we see a shift in the jewelry industry, because the jewelry industry is growing. But maybe we see a shift that we have to look into many small actors all around the world who gives the jewelry to the people, instead of, few big brands that does it. Then more decentralized, and more you buy local at a girl or at somebody that you know, or something like that. I think that could something that I've been looking a lot into in the jewelry industry, that the big brands, they're struggling. And the smaller brands, the influencer brands, so to speak, they are really growing.
I think we see that in every industry, actually. Yeah. Even just we call it content now, but it's really just media. But we used to have big newspaper companies, big TV stations. Now everybody's watching their favorite YouTuber, and people could have a really close relationship. Like, let's say I sold some ties before. That's one of the things that I've done. Somebody might buy my tie, or somebody might buy a tie sold by a different YouTuber, and not even know about the other one, even though they're buying a very similar product for the same reason. We just have a different relationship with that particular customer.
Which is a great way of putting it. I think it could be great. And I think also, if you look, and of course, since I live here in the UAE, I look into the future every single day. I enjoy that. And I see the AI, of course, is extremely well, but also the Web 3.0, which is all about decentralizing. It's about taking these big machines with all this data and centralize them into, I don't know how many, and that, I think, would be the future, that we will be able to have a lot of people offering us things, locally, also online. And I completely agree with you that is the way that it goes, and of course the big players in the world, they know it. So they're of course trying to fight it, that we all decentralize all the jewelry sales and all this, because one of the things that could be funny is that you could also have 50,000 girls selling your jewelry around the world instead of having your own stores, So there's many options for people to go forward also in the jewelry industry to think different.
Yeah, that's very true. If you're enjoying this podcast, you will love the Gentleman's Digest. This is our weekly newsletter sent straight to your inbox, packed with insights and recommendations. You'll find the link to become a reader in the description. I want to talk about you as a self-described crazy person and your work ethic. I've seen some clips of you talking about that. Today, there's definitely more conversation about balance and like mental health for entrepreneurs. when you see all of this kind of stuff, what's your honest feeling about it?
Bullshit. That is fantasy world. Come on, guys. If you want to create a global brand, if people think it's a fairy tale, it's not a fairy tale. It's hard work. I have 5 kids. You think I'm going to be announced the best father ever in the world? I will not, because I was not there. I was out traveling and doing my things. You know, I had to be honest about these things. This is just glamorizing something that is not right. And I tell my young entrepreneurs that is advised by me, I tell them the truth. You know, this is going to be very hard for you. But of course you can but they're not just going to make a little business and then you're never going to succeed, I said, because there's no little in the entrepreneur world. It's either 100% or nothing. So all these, you know, I'm a guy who did it, you know, so I know what it's like. I don't need to pretend anything or do anything. I know how I did it, and I know it's painful. You know, you're traveling 300 days a year. Very nice to see the whole world. You know, I've been in 136 different countries. I've done business in 111 countries. You know, I feel very privileged about my life. That's how I wanted to live it. So you have to look at yourself and say, what do I want? And if you want a full working balanced life or what, you should do something else. You shouldn't go into being an entrepreneur. You should find a nice, well-paid job somewhere where you will make no meaning to the world at all, but you go to your job every day. But if you want to change the world, if you want to be here for a reason, if you want to inspire everyone around you, then you have to be prepared that that's 24 hours, 365. You know, the man who wrote many of my books, he says, I've been with you so many times. Do you actually ever sleep? He asked me. Yeah, I sleep sometimes when I get tired, you know, but I sleep when I have to. But I'm so excited about everything I do that I rather want to stay awake, you know. The same with guys like me. I hate holidays. I don't do holidays. I hate Christmas when we have to do all these things. Why we have to do this? I respect that my family is very important to me, and I do it for my family because, quite honestly, I don't want to do it. I just want to work. I just want to change the world. I just want to inspire. I just want to have a great time going out, meeting people. You know, 300 days a night, I go to a nice restaurant somewhere in the world. I meet very interesting people because due to my Pandora past, of course, it opens many doors to me everywhere around the world when I come around. And I haven't used that brand, but in the new year of 2026, I made the decision. You know, now I had done some big court cases in my country, you know, billions of dollars, and I need to do something that makes meaning again. You know, it's very reactive to do court cases and all this. It's very bad energy, you know. I needed some good energy again. So I created this new brand, the Resilient Founder. And I said, I see all these people selling courses 24 years old with a Rolex. That's bullshit, I said. And many people who reach where I reach in my life, they don't want to do this anymore because they rather want to sit in their castle in France and drink expensive red wine and don't talk to anybody. Only when the guy from BlackRock calls her and say, no, I don't say anything. I'm quiet. I follow the matrix, you know. But I don't care about these things, you know, because I'm here to change the world. You know, I had a more crazy journey after leaving Pandora than in Pandora because I won some of the biggest tax cases of my country. I exposed the company that I created for frauding me when they had to pay me. You know, I just catch and take anything I can get onto. But right now I have a feeling that I need to do a more positive project. I need to do something where I go global again. I love these global scales. And of course, I was looking into the different things that personal brands around the world. And I think we don't have a top 100 global brand founder in this scenario, in this landscape. So I think there is a hole for a guy who actually had 20 bullet holes from the authorities, from the private equity, from the banks, from everybody, but he's still standing stronger than ever. So I needed that. Yeah, we don't have that. And we all...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I just take it from there, yeah?
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you as well, is somebody's going to listen to this, whether they're in the US or Europe or Asia, and they'll relate to some of the things that you say, or it will inspire them and they can really understand what it's like. Because I also think a lot of the business advice out there, as you say, it doesn't come from empire builders that built stores with a huge global retail presence. It comes from the online kind of making $100,000 a month, as you mentioned, Rolex cars. And I'm not making any judgment on those businesses, but I think what interested me when I started to recalibrate my goals, as I said, you know, I had my initial goal with content and then I achieved that. And I thought, well, okay, what's the next level? A lot of the brands that I was interested in, the only way I could learn about them was by books. there were books, biographies written about those companies, maybe even decades ago, but there was no, these people are dead now. So I can't, my Hugh Hefner is like a big role model for me in business. He's dead. We cannot do a podcast together. I can't talk to him about how he expanded Playboy. Yeah, that would be, that would be cool.
I would love to hear that.
Yeah. So I think it's great to hear from somebody that's been in a more serious traditional company.
Yeah.
And the warts and all side of that as well.
I'm really aligned with you there. And just to put it into perspectives, I've been thinking about this resilient founder concept the brand that I'm building, or what it is that I want to do with that. And you're right, they are dead. If you take the 100 biggest brands in the world right now, 33 people who created these brands are still alive. 67 of them are dead. So it's a very narrow kind of a number of people you can talk to who actually created it and created these brands. And many of them, of course, are the tech brands. We know them, the top guys, Zuckerberg, Musk, Bezos, these guys, the Google guys, the Microsoft guys. But it's very difficult to touch them, and feel them. They're not that present. And I thought that there was a gap, because I did this very young. When I was 40, I sold my company, and that's very, very young, and therefore, of course, I still have a long period of time to do many other things. And I now came to the conclusion, after having been in too many court cases, it's so bad energy. And it's not what a guy like me I want to do. I want to create things. I don't want to work on reactive things. But I also had to teach myself to win court cases, which was, of course, extremely interesting, But again, there's not many people you can talk to who actually did it and has the bullet holes that it takes to get there to the very top of it. And my goal was never to make $100,000 a month. That was not where I was walking into. I was walking into now doing billions of dollars of revenue and profits and creating this massive global company. That is 90% of this is a mindset, because you could just stop halfway if you were satisfied with that. But we never stopped. And that was all in Pandora due to me, because my co-founders, they told me, yes, but stop. Why? Why we have to do all new markets, new stores, new branding? We invest. And they say, we're happy now. And of course, they also left very early on my journey, because they went, as I said, to the golf courses, happy for them, but they were also 20 years older than me. You understand? So they were, if you ask me now, and somebody came and offered me 500 million euro for my company, with 55, I would consider to say, I think I take it. But when you're 40, you fly private jet, you have your own football team, you have 10 cars, you have a house in Mallorca, you have a 30-meter yacht in Porto Portals, you have everything you could ever dream of. Running the biggest, I had 2 handball teams, you think I want to stop with 40? I was ready to go all the way. I want to get bigger, get more, does it all, live it to the utmost. And that is something that also, when I now had my court cases, I killed it, I fucking killed it. I'm a highly trained lawyer now without being a lawyer. It was not my lawyers who won my tax cases, the hundreds of millions. It was myself, because I dug so deep into it, as was it a Pandora I was building. And I could never lose, because I never give up. And that is also why we have the Pandora today, and why I won these big tax cases, and why I do all these different things, because I never give up. I never, ever give up until I win. And that is, of course, very few people in the world who has this mindset. I know that. So I lay back, take it easy. I'm happy. I get a 3-bedroom apartment in Marbella. I'm happy. No. It doesn't matter with that. We move on. We have to move on. We have to do more, and that's why I get so fired up when my team and we put this together, this resilient founder concept. And you just seen the top of it now, because we're going to go out globally now in the future. Crazy. We have a model that hasn't been seen before, with affiliate marketing, with content creators. There's 25,000 content creators standing ready, waiting for my go. And then I'm going to overswim the whole world with my methodics, with my way of saying things, and being the real shit, not a stupid course. And if you're 24, how much business stories do you have? And if you're 24 years old and you want to grow a business, the last thing you're going to buy is a Rolex. You're going to invest that money into your business, my friend. That's what I'm telling the guys that I'm training now. And if I see one of them driving with a Lamborghini, I'll kill them. You know, you put that money into your business, you put that money to marketing, you put that money into organization. You don't, when you turn 50, my friend, and you finish your journey, you can provide for your family, you can do everything that needs to be done. You can consider to start doing these crazy things, unless, of course, you build something that is completely insane, like we did with Pandora, you know. But the first 6 years, 3 of these years, I lived in my car in Germany, driving around selling jewelry. I was sleeping in my car doing it. That's what I call the hard miles. And if you have to take the hard miles, you don't take the hard miles in a Lamborghini, 26 years old, with a big Rolex in your arm. I never heard about that. Maybe I'm stupid, but I never heard a business model that worked like that. So that's my take on these things.
I think that's also something that's happened where with social media, it's like this social pressure of one person starts flexing their lifestyle, and therefore other young entrepreneurs start judging their success more by their lifestyle rather than their actual company. What was your approach to personal finance and lifestyle? I mean, you mentioned sleeping in your car, but what was your attitude toward personal finance in your 20s and 30s?
You know, I always was working hard, you know, to reward myself as well, you know. And of course, but it was never, it could never damage the business, as I always say. And I always had this saying that to the outside, we look like a Ferrari in my business, but to the inside, we work like a Golf. You understand? So always take a lot care of the money. Everything we can do ourselves within the family, within the organization, we do. We don't use expensive consultants. We don't spend unnecessary money. And no money was spent without me giving the yes, you know, because I have a very special way of not spending money. You know, it's a word. And I spend money on things that make sense for my business, not at anything else. Of course, I reached a point, I think in 2009, 8-9, where we were really successful. No, I maybe had a profit of 30-40 million euro a year. And I remember I went, when we reached the end of the year, to the dealership and got me the Aston Martin that I was dreaming of, the DB9, because I deserved it. But not till then. I didn't do it. And later on, of course, when I got the money, I bought the big 5 million villa in Mallorca. You know, I bought the 10 million yacht in the harbor when it really starts. But I never really got money. And that's a very important lesson. So every businessman who has his own business and is flexing a lot of wealth, and I said, that's crazy. You should invest that money in your company. The second you can explore and show your wealth is when you sold your business. Then you have the money, my friend, because then you can buy these things. So I never really, you know, went bananas before I sold my business and got the money on the account, because up till then, I never had very much money in my accounts. I invested them in growing my business and making it better and more revenue. More revenue is very expensive. It's more stock. It's more organization. It's more debitors. It's more of everything, you know. So receivables will just increase, and that's these money you have to find somewhere, and they should not be laying in a Lamborghini somewhere. So if you have your own business that is 6 years old and you're driving a Lamborghini, put that money in receivables when you grow your business, I always say. Instead of showing, who do you need to show that for? You can show me that when one day somebody comes and said, I want to buy your company for 500,000 or 500 million. Then we can talk about you having money in your account. Till then, no of all this flexing shit. And you're right. This and now I'm living in the world where we see most of it, but I'm working against it because I say you're insane. And of course, the young guys that is advised by me now, they of course find it out the hard way, you know. And they're talking to a guy who had so many bullet holes, and I know so much about it. So you can try to tell me anything. I'm not stupid, I always say. I know how this works because I tried it.
When you finally rewarded yourself with the cars, the homes, the yacht, which ones did you actually find rewarding? And were there any things that you thought, you know what, this doesn't feel as good as I thought it would?
That's a very good question. And you know exactly what that is, yeah. Because it doesn't mean a fucking shit, you know. That's what you mean. Yeah? Because the most funny part I can tell about my yacht, yeah. I had a 30-meter yacht in Porto Portales in Mallorca, which is more expensive to have laying than in Monaco and in Cannes and everywhere else. But I needed to have that boat because, you know, I could. and I sold my company. So I bought this 30-meter yacht laying down there. It cost 7 million, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 million. And the funny part, I had it for 2.5 years, and I was sailing in it twice, 45 minutes. Because first of all, I can't swim very well. And secondly, I don't really like the water. So why the hell are you buying a yacht? But other things, I have to say, really, cars, I had them all. You can't mention a name I didn't try. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, McLaren, SLR, everything. When I was young, we never got to the Bugattis, and the Bayern just came out when I was a young guy. I was looking at it and saying, "Ooh, that really looks nice," but I never got to it. But everything else I tried with the cars, and it means nothing today. I don't give a shit, But what really is nice to have, I have to say, is a private jet. That is so comfortable, and that gives you so much possibility to come around and do more business and do everything you can experience. So for 5 years, I had a private jet because it made sense in my company. If you don't use it in your company, don't have it. But if you're really busy in your company and it makes a business sense to have it, it is by far the best investments I ever had, because I got to be in a meeting 3 times a day in 3 different places in Europe. And that was real. And I lived in that airplane. Like, I lived in my car for 3 years. I lived 5 years in my airplane. And I slept in it. I had all my clothes in it. I had 6 pilots full-time employed. I had, at that time, I had 1 football team, 2 handball teams were running the biggest jewelry business in Europe. I had 6 skyboxes in the biggest stadiums and football stadiums around Europe. And I loved just to go to all these things. So I was flying around to 1 football game, 1 handball game, my own team, running the business in the daytime, going to the stadiums in the evenings. And it was just crazy what this plane could do for me. The boat was just suffering. Houses are nice for your family. Cars, you get tired of. That's my learning. Mm-hmm. When you get through all these different stages of having these things, So I like to be around people, I find out that really gives me energy, So I do 200-300 dinners a year around the world with people, create these spaces where I make them feel comfortable and they can really tell me about how everything is going, and they give a little bit of themselves. I do use this trick that I give a little bit of myself to open them up, and then everything comes back again. And from there on, I now do my best businesses. And that also led to that I decided to make, after my court cases that was so boring, I need some good energy. So I decided, and I don't want to start up a new business where I move a lot of physical products. So I decided to make this resilient founder concept, which you just saw. I think we're 1 week old, so you found us right away. So we hit you right on the spot. Yeah, we didn't even go public yet. It's still my own accounts building up to the launch of the 25,000 content creators that will go out in the market during the next couple of months.
Well, that was one of the things, actually, when I first came across you. I looked at the followers and I was like, wait a minute, this seems a bit off. This guy must have way more. So it makes sense that you only really just began the journey with a personal brand.
I think we launched my pages like 6, 7, 8 days ago. I think it's not longer. And we just made, I have in Denmark the most followed LinkedIn profile of my country. But that's a dinosaur, it's a very boring media compared to many of the others. So I had never had actually Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or all these different kinds of platforms. I'm new to all this. So of course, but I have a good team now advising me. We have a clear business model. We know what informations we want to give up, like want to bring out to the world. We see there is a gap in the market for a resilient founder, a real founder, the real shit. Not somebody is trying to sell you something shit, So that's why we decided to create this resilient founder brand, also to inspire. And, when you've been taken down, what many people are, you can't get up again, I'm the living proof of that. I was taken down many times by the tax authorities, by the medias in Denmark. They killed me many times, but that's a part of it, You have to, if you want to be interesting, you have to take some beating up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now you're in Dubai. How would you describe the atmosphere of entrepreneurship in that city?
In Dubai, yeah, that's a very interesting environment I'm in here now. I must say I I'm deeply impressed by this concept down here. One thing you can discuss is the tax and all these things. That's one thing that has nothing, but the environment that they can create here of possibilities for the people living here, that is insane, you know. And I see so many talented guys coming down here, and I understand why. If I was 20 years old today, I would book a plane ticket tomorrow and come down here and feel the environment, feel the energy, and feel the future. And it reminds me of when I was a young guy starting Pandora and I started going to the US. I was completely shocked about the mentality, the energy level, the positivity, the belief in possibilities. That really was, you know, when you come from Denmark, you know, you've been put down your whole life, you know, and you come out and you just explore this energy. And the same energy now I feel now here in the UAE in Dubai. And it is a place that they're building the future, I think. I think we will look in, I think for my generation, New York, London was like the two places to be businessmen. Mm-hmm. I was so proud when we opened our store on Fifth Avenue in New York. You know, that was a big milestone for the Pandora brand to get the big store in Regent Street, Oxford Street in London. You know, that is the big ones as a retailer. But I think my kids' generation, you know, my son, he's 28. My daughter is 25. I have 3 younger kids. I think they will love Dubai like I love New York, because it has all the energy that young people, and of course I understand that old people don't understand it. But I try to keep myself young at heart. You know, I'm highly informed about everything that happens in the world with business and everything. And I can just feel that everything here sums up. You know, now I tell you what, it's like living in a paradise, because everything is possible. Security, you don't have to worry about anything. Safety is so good here. The school for the kids, first class. Healthcare, first class. And then of course you can say, yeah, but you need to have money. Yeah. I think you basically need to have that everywhere in the world. The question is just, in very many countries in Europe, you get that from the state. Here you have to make it by yourself. I'm sorry. That's very sad, but that's how it is. So I think that the environment, I say to young people, do it, try, go down there, build your business from here. Any online business can be built from here. Do it. Don't stay home in a bad environment where people tell you can't do it. Here we only support each other. We try to make ourselves better. I meet with them every single day with young entrepreneurs here in Dubai, and they believe they can change the world like I did when I was a young man. So I just try to motivate them to do it. So the environment for entrepreneurship here, we just had the big summit of the 1 billion follower. It just finished here, I think, a couple of days ago. There's so much going on all the time of things that is improving your business. People think it's just about the glamour. We don't see any of that. And I tell you, I lived in Mallorca for 15 years before, and now I live in Dubai. It costs the same. There's no difference in the price. It's not what people say, oh, it's very expensive. Yeah, it can be very, but do you have any idea how expensive New York and London can be as well? If you really want to put it to the limit there.
Yes. Every city can be like that. Some cities can't be expensive, but it's very different. I mean, you create your own version of it. I feel like, especially in the US and Europe, the major capital cities don't have that sway that they used to for entrepreneurs. And I have lived in Los Angeles. I lived in Chicago. I spent a lot of time in New York as well. But where the entrepreneurs are in the US now, they're in Miami or they're in Austin. Yeah. You know, they are not in those big cities.
No, they move away. They go to Texas. That's right. That's a very good hub that they're doing there right now. I was there not 2 years ago. I was very impressed by the entrepreneurial environment there. And the same goes here. They are really pushing it. And it all comes from the top. Like in any company, in every region, in every state, it all is driven from the top. And this man who built this, I think he's 85 years old now. What a vision. What a vision, you know. What an execution. And what a damn fucking world you built down here, you know. That is insane. Of course, I understand people say, but it's all built by the slaves. Now I think we as UK, and we should maybe be a little bit quiet when it comes to that, because we have our past that we also could discuss how we did that. But these people living down here are so happy. They're so polite. They're so happy that they've got the visa to go to UAE and work and change the social status of their family back home, because they can educate their family to be doctors or teachers or university professors, because they make 1,500 euro a month. And that's a lot of money in India or Bhutan or Nepal. But that father, he's willing to go here, sacrifice for his whole family, not see his family for 2 years in order to build a future for his children. I admire that. And I'm very generous to these people down here because I respect them so much, what they're doing. But you have to understand, they don't see this as a sacrifice. They see this as they are really lucky. It's a privilege. I was so lucky I got my visa. They say to me all the time, you know, I got my visa. I can keep it. I can continue to send money back. I support my family. And that is the ultimate thing a man can do in his life for his family, is to provide for them, give his kids a good education. You know? So I'm very much, you know, many people say very many negative things about Dubai. I travel the whole world many times. I've been in every country, did business with people all around the world. I'd never in my life had such a positive atmosphere amongst people, no matter where you meet them. In the elevator, in front of your house, driving your Uber, meeting them in the restaurants, everybody is smiling, respectful, and happy to each other. And if you can create a world like this, why shouldn't you live there? I always say to people, why shouldn't you live there? Why should you accept the criminal things that's going on? Why should you accept that my kids in Germany can't go out in the evening because they simply are afraid? Why do we accept these things? They are laughing at us down here about the Europeans. And at the moment, the problem is that we are being laughed at as Europeans, whereas 20 years ago, we were being admired. And I think that is, and when people say, you can't do that, come down and see it. It works pretty well. And when people go out of Dubai and talk bad about Dubai, there's two things that you can always be sure that is the reason why they do it. Once, they were never here. They only heard bad things about what do I know, blah, blah, blah. And secondly, they've been here and they didn't succeed. Then they will also talk bad about Dubai. Because nobody who's living here and having a great life can ever say anything bad about what this man, he did down here. There's zero mistakes. But I understand that it can be very difficult for politicians in Europe or the US to explain how you can do all these things with a private tax of 0%. I think somebody needs and has a huge problem in explaining all of that to us. How can he do that with 0% income tax? And I tell you, I've been paying hundreds of millions through my life in tax. And it's a crazy feeling to get up in the morning and pay zero. That is insane. Because you don't understand that.
Yeah, when you meet younger entrepreneurs in Dubai, let's say somebody hasn't really achieved success yet, but they're on that journey, what would you say is a sign that they are going to achieve what they want? What are the habits and character traits that you'd be looking at?
First of all, they're very talented. Very talented. They know so much due to guys like you, podcasts, you know, social medias, coaches, founders from all around the world. They're so well informed about the things. They're so clear about the things. They say no drugs, no alcohol. I have to stay fit. You know, I don't do cold plunges 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm not an idiot. But I keep myself fit. Because I always say you don't need to look like you're a soldier or like you are a businessman. But you need to stay fit because you can't work right if you're not fit. So train 1 hour a day. That's enough. You don't have to look like you're crazy, well-trained. That's not your superpower. Has to be in your business, not in the gym, because the gym is only a waste of time. You can't make business when you're standing in the gym. And I see how they determined they are. You know, no smoking, no cigarettes, no addictions or anything. They're very much they're polite young guys. They are really being trained to really move forward. And I'm so optimistic on behalf of the world, more than anybody maybe is, because very often they're pessimistic. They're always going to be. I've never seen so much potential for the world before. I never seen so many ambitious young people in my life before. I never seen so well-informed people. We sit at a dinner. There's a guy 18 years old. There's a guy 16 years old. The 18-year-old guy, he knows 10 times more than the 60-year-old guy he does. He can't talk politics. He can't talk. He's, oh, what's it? They don't understand what's going on. I say, come on, guys, get in the game here. Follow the young guys. They're so well-informed. They're so well-trained. They're so disciplined. And they really want to do it. And I love working with them. It's so great. And that's also what I want to do now. I want to get away from them following these people who are fake. I want them to follow the real shit, the guys who did it, who really knows how to do these things, and don't have to tell them that you have to stand 16 hours in the gym every day. No, you don't have to get in the cold plunge at 4:00 in the morning in order to sit there to punish yourself. You can also just take your head and bang it to the wall. What's the reason about that? You have to show every day that you can work very, very hard and focused on your business, because your business is the core for everything in your life. It's going to build your family. It's going to make you the perfect provider, the perfect partner. It's going to make you to everything. So identify everything around yourself in your business as a man, not in how big are your muscles. Who cares? Stay fit, of course. Be sure. We all have this down here, this one that follows every single heartbeat and all this that we do. So we know that we stay fit. And people in Dubai are extremely aware of these things. They know that they have to stay fit. I've never seen so many fit people in Dubai as anywhere in the world. They are not overweight. They are taking care of themselves. They're very ambitious. And they're very, very talented. So the young people of the world who really wants to move forward, I think many of them in the future will come out of the UAE.
If you're enjoying this podcast, you might like to know that we also have a private members club for like-minded modern gentlemen all over the world. You'll find the link to apply in the description. Apart from that 1 hour of fitness a day, would you say there are any other aspects of your life or other entrepreneurs' lives that you think have really helped them in business, even if it's not directly work in that sense? Around everything else around the work, everything is I always say everything is all about balance. Everything about balance except your work extreme. But the rest of it is about balance. So make sure you get enough of everything you need, the food, the sleep, everything. Keep the balance. The only way where you can be extreme is at the work. And you can cut off sleep for some time. You can cut off other things, but you always have to balance it out in another way. That's very important. And what I always said is that social life is important. You have to have a social life. Very often, many of my young entrepreneurs here down in Dubai, I have to force them out of their apartments, because they're just sitting in front of their screens. They're like crazy. So now you have to go with me to that dinner because that's where you meet your next customers. So I always had this saying that I always say yes to every single event I could go to. I made it work, I prioritized it. You want to come to that? You want to come to that boxing game next week in London? I'll be there, because there I met 3 of the most important guys I ever met in my life. And I always believe if we always do things right, don't cheat, don't do any tricks, always be kind. You will be rewarded by being put by if it's him or something else, I don't know, but the karma will put you in situations where you can move forward. Because I've learned that if every time I did something where I said, that was not good, I was punished. One way or the other, not directly, but I was punished. So every time you do something, do it right. Don't walk over the wrong line ever. Don't cross any lines. Always be kind to everybody. Always talk nice to everybody. Always spread good energy. And every time I needed help in my life, and we all need that, I got it. I got the help from universe, karma, the big man. When we get older, we tend to look more on top to find an explanation. And I truly believe that he is there and he's really watching after me. Also in difficult times. I had many difficult times in my life as well, because when you want to create things like I do, you hit some barriers, and some people don't want the best for you because you're trying to change something that they actually don't want you to change, and then these matters. But he always looked after me because I never crossed any line, never crossed the lines, never take the wrong. And I tell many guys they do it, and I said, you shouldn't do that because I know, don't do it. Because, but it will work now. It will not work on the long run. The karma will take you down. So always stay on the right side. Always stay on the right side on everything you do in life.
That is something that I worked very hard on always through my different careers and things that I did. I had failures in business projects. Everybody had. I always say a good entrepreneur, he'll make 1 out of 5 really big, 2 out of 3 will be okay, and 1 or 2 will fail. That's okay. No problem. But you can never say that after you fail a project that you didn't do all you have to do to make it work. It just didn't work, even though it was a great idea. Maybe the timing was wrong, the market didn't understand it, or whatever it was. But you should always look yourself in the mirror and say, we did everything we fucking did to make it work. But we never crossed the lines, We never did anything wrong. So that is the thing that I always tell everybody, don't do these things. Don't chase the fast money. They're not there.
I want to finish this up with a little bit about what you observe in terms of people's behavior, their etiquette, maybe even the way they present themselves. Let's say you do get invited to a dinner and you're introduced to somebody else, or you were having dinner with a potential customer. What are some behaviors that you would be looking out for?
Yeah, I trained a little bit in that because I attended maybe 15,000 dinners in my life and meetings and things like that. And of course, I observe a lot of these things, of course, and you can learn a lot by taking not just maybe a potential date or potential girlfriend or any friend to a restaurant, see how they treat people around them. If they treat the waiters, everyone with a lot of respect and say, thank you very much for your service, all these things. I look very much into that, because how they treat other people they don't know is how they are as human beings. Of course, they will always treat the Pandora founder, with the respect, and I know that. And wow, I'm very high. Very often, I'm the highest ranking officer in the group because I had this legacy that I have. But I see how they behave towards the waiter. If you get some food you don't like, I never ever had sent any food in my whole life back to the kitchen, because it's not important, maybe I made the wrong order, maybe, something was, but shut the fuck up and eat, I say to people. Yeah. Who do you fuck you think? But we ordered a steak, he gave us a chicken. Yeah. And I can eat a chicken. It doesn't matter. I never sent anything back in my life. That is a very important, and also how they order. Very interesting. When I order, it takes me 5 seconds because it's not important. I look at the menu, I take that. I said, don't you want to look what they have? No, it's not important. Not important. I don't have time for that. Let's talk business. We're here for the business. And then I always try to I'm always the last person to leave the restaurants. Even if I start at 7 and all this regular restaurants, I come to say, oh, fuck, it's Jesper. Now we know what's going to happen because he's going to close our restaurant. And at the end, we have to throw him out, because the conversations are running. So people always say, then we take the full course. I would say we take the starter, we take the main, and we take the desserts, and we end up with the tea or the coffee or the drinks, because then we have 5 hours. You know what I mean? 5 hours. And people, when I book at the different restaurants, they know, oh, it's Jesper. It's not working with the 2 hours normal seating. He needs unlimited seating because he's going to be the last one. When we close the music, we have to carry him and his group out of the restaurant, because I try to create an atmosphere of well-being, of having a good time. So I don't drink any coffee. Don't like tea, but I can drink it. So when it's always, but it prolongs your session with 1-2 hours, you understand? And so when you're already decided to go to the restaurant with that group or that person, stay as long as you always do the desserts. I don't like desserts very much, but I order and they will always be eaten. I don't know if you ever noticed that. But if I always say to the waiter, we have 5 people, put us 3 desserts to share. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen any plate gone out full. No. People will eat it. They'll eat it anyway, I will not eat. I'll just take a bite and that's fine. But it's just to prolong the sessions, So always when you have that situation, because it's where you can get to know them really well. Whether that's friends maybe that don't, but when we come a little bit further into the conversation, you start to find out that maybe they have some problems, but they didn't really want to come with it because it needs time, to come into the conversation, to come into that space. And I hate when they play too loud music in the restaurant. I think that's a very stupid concept. stop it. And if you live in Marbella, you know, it's sometimes it's way too loud. And I have to say, it's not, how loud is the music going to be tonight, you know, because then I'm not going to come. Because I need to talk, I need to create that space with, whether it's an employee, a friend, your partner, whoever it is. You need to create that space of trust and intimacy. And I found out that sitting eating is the best possibility to do that. So I made all my businesses around the world in the restaurants in the evening. You know, I did my business with my family, meaning my sister was helping me all along. And she always said, I was always responsible from 8 to 16, she said. Because from 16 and open end, it was Jesper's time. So I took care of everything from 4 o'clock till open end in the other end. And she was doing the daily business, you know, the normal daily boring business. But I took them when it came to find out what kind of people are we talking about here. I closed 75 master franchise agreements around the world, you know, from China to Venezuela to all the countries you can dream of. I had a master franchise, and there I got to know the local people and to really get close to them, because it was a local man that I was making the agreement with. So I got to know him, and that also gives you a chance to get to know about that country. I'm very curious. I want to know what it's like to live in this country, you know, and how are you seeing things? What is your religion? What is your background? And what I found out, what's very interesting, is how much alike we are around the world. Whether you are in South Korea, in Europe, in America, in South America, we're all the same. So we don't have to run around and fight each other, because we all want the same. We want for our families to have a good life. That's what we all want. That's what we all fight for. So I never really understood all these disagreements. It all comes down to what I really hate most of all, greed. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Takes things that don't belong to you. Very bad karma. You know, and all these things I learned through my journeys as a global entrepreneur, that we are so much alike, you know, and that also leads to, of course, that I have friends in every single country in the world. You know, I go back, I love to do my tours where I go to meet old friends, you know, all around the world. It's so great to catch up and hear how they're doing, see how they're developing. But I found out, truth from the bottom of my heart, that we are so much alike, that there is a way for this world to move forward, because we all want the same. And religion, disagreements, war, let's stop all this, because we have to respect. Here I live, when people say, no, it's very difficult with religion, I live in a country with 200 different nationalities. This is a Muslim country I'm living in, and we all respect each other. So when people tell me it's not possible, I say that's a lie, because there is here a place where I can tell you that we have no problems at all. We live peacefully together. Yeah, but it's very hard. They respect us as Europeans 100%. They're not trying to force any kind of anything onto us. They respect us. I have to say, I'm an immigrant in this country. I feel extremely welcome. They're very, very kind to me. They don't try to put me into some. I can't speak too much, because then they give me a fine. Stupid Jesper, you broke the law. You have to pay. I respect it. That's how it has to be. So 200 nationalities living under the same roof, and we have no criminal things going on. We have nothing. So there is a hope for the world, I always say. And maybe it's not so far away as we think it is.
Well, I have one more thing I wanted to ask you about. That's such a great note to end on, but I have to ask you this instead. I've noticed this trait among very successful men in particular. I can't speak to women so much, which people don't seem to discuss, and that's energy. You strike me as a very high energy person, and so are a lot of the most successful people I've met. Do you think that's something that is deeply within you, or is there anything that you do to sustain these levels of energy and excitement?
Yeah, it wasn't there in the beginning. Let's put it like that. You know, I was also a lazy young guy, you know, sitting in the back in the school, not wanting to do anything, you know, because I thought it was very boring to go to school. You know, I had to do the high school, the gymnasium, and I hated it, you know, because it didn't motivate me. But what I found out, and that is a good lesson for everybody, when you find what you really like to do and burn for, your energy level will rise tremendously. So I think if you can't find the right energy level in what you're doing, it's because you're not doing the right thing for you. Because we are all born with the same energy level, more or less. But of course, and I love when I found out that I could make money. And when I make money, I could get a great life. I could do a lot of things for other people. Because what people don't know about guys like me, that we are driven from giving. I love to give. So I'm a go-giver. I give to everybody, everything that I can do. I give, I always pay for everything when we're at dinners. That's part of the mythology of being a giver. I always let people borrow my car. You can borrow my apartment. You can borrow my houses. You can borrow everything from me. I give. And that's not just monetary things. It's also everything you can do. Can you help me with that? Of course, I can help you with that. So 10, 15 times a day, I give something that wasn't necessary for me to do. But it gives me so much energy to give. Today I had just before we came, I had a guy texting me, I saw they just started the Talent 100 competition in Denmark of new young entrepreneurs. And I know the journalists. Can you recommend me so I get a chance to talk to them? It took me 1 second to write to my journalist colleague and say, take a look at him. Yeah, we put him in the pool, he said. Yeah, it's for free. And I always say yes. It's one of my mantras, yes philosophy. Always say yes and always say give. Because that gives, as you say, when you come close to me, it gives people a lot of energy. So when people leave after having been together with me for 2 hours, 5 hours, a meeting or whatever, they're energetic. Because I release a lot of energy to them. Boom, boom, boom. And that is how it has to be. But it's because I feel energy from what I'm doing. I tell you, running court cases is very difficult to keep your energy high.
Oh,
and you have to be an energy master like myself, like a Duracell rabbit, in order to keep that one going. But I knew what was going on, so I kept keeping myself at a high energy level. I found other ways of compensating for that. But when you build a business, it is so great energy. You change the people's destiny. You can change their life. You give them possibilities. That gives a lot of energy. So if you can't find the energy, it's because you're not doing the right thing for you. Then you should do something else. I don't know. We can't all be global entrepreneurs. Luckily, that would be very hard. But you can do some other things in your daily life that will bring you energy, and that will keep you going. So when you haven't found your purpose yet in life, it's because you haven't found the right thing yet. But the second I found my right mission, I went from being a lazy young man to being the most dedicated energy machine they can imagine, running 24 hours, because now I hit my right space. And there I really function well. And I'm very grateful for my life that I got to see and have experienced all these things. I have nothing left with 55 on my bucket list. Nothing. There's nothing more I want to do. From now on, I only want to inspire and train and learn people how to get a better life, how to be better people. And I have tried everything, what you can imagine of what young guys has on their bucket list. Yeah. I tried it all. But the main thing for me in the future is, it doesn't mean some of the things I want to try again, because that was really cool, traveling was really cool. I love traveling. That's really, really great, to see the world and see the beautiful places the world brings to us, I love that, but all the other things is just about me giving and passing on to other people now what is possible, because I came from nothing. I got it all. I saw it all. I tried everything. And in my country, as I said, everybody knows me, but I want to make that global now, because I'm on a mission now again to make, and you just caught me in the beginning of my mission. But if we talk again in a year, I tell you that my followers on the social medias has been multiplied with 10,000, because I'm out here with a big army now creating all these things. When I do something, I do it 100%, So where you found me right now is just because we're seeding. Because I need to make the profiles look good before we push, and then it comes.
I hope we get to do it again in person, either in Dubai or some other city.
If you come here, please let me know. That goes for everybody. Everybody who sees this podcast. That's what I always say. If you come to Dubai, you write me on the social medias and we meet up. I always do it with everybody. Of course, my better half, she gets a little bit tired of it. Again, she said, who are these people? I said, I don't know yet. I don't know. But let's meet up with them, So I love to meet new people, and it always brings some good into it,
Yeah. Well, I love the generosity that you have and the openness
always
as well. It's very rare.
It's very yeah. That's my business model. Open-minded. No secrets. People. Oh, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you. No. You can get everything from me that you want. I have nothing to hide. You can't outrun me anyway.
What's the best way for people to find you if they would like
to? Now I'm on the social medias. I'm on LinkedIn, where I have my big profile in Denmark. There I was very present. I had the biggest LinkedIn profile of my country. But otherwise, I'm on Instagram now. I'm new to it, so I'll do my best. I'm new to Facebook now also, and I'm used to the Chinese one, TikTok. And I'm doing my best now. My team is trying to teach me how it works and everything. But I think we've been discussing a little bit about my team that maybe they take some of the things back again. They think maybe they could do it better than me. So let's see. Yeah, but the question is, when you write me, and people always ask me, is it really you, Jesper, replying? It is. Because I'm extremely responsive. You saw also when you wrote me, how fast did I reply?
Yep. Straight away, pretty much every time. Yeah. Every
time. I'm there. Bang, bang, bang. And people will get shocked that the most busy people in the world are also the most responsive. That's very always reply. When people write you, it's disrespectful not to reply, in my opinion. Well, and if you can't reply because if you're too busy and you can't reply, very important. If you can't reply and you're too busy, you have to get a team to do it for you, because you have to reply. Thank you.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that people get a lot of value and energy and inspiration out of this. And good luck with the rest of your journey, launching the personal brand and growing in this new way.
Go in and follow me. That's what it says. That what comes. I have 25 years to give from, and I'm creating a future again. So go in and follow me on the social media. Fantastic. I'm new to that, so bear with me if it's not always completely perfect. I'm doing my best.
It's looking good. So far, it's looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Jesper. Well, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening in Dubai.
Thank you very much. Likewise.